All right, good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. We've got lots of patriots in the audience, people ready and waiting for my very special guest tonight. It is none other than Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer, investigative journalist and current congressional candidate in the state of Florida. Laura, we've got a lot of people who are very interested in hearing what you have to say tonight, and I just want to say thank you so much for joining us here in the studio. How are you doing?
Well, thanks so much for having me on tonight. I appreciate it. I'm doing really well.
Good. Glad to hear it. So, like I said, we've got people from all over the United States, but people from all over the world, too. We were talking before it started about the way that the press has characterized you. You're one of those kind of lightning rod people, you know? I mean, people either just absolutely love what you're doing or they're at odds with it because you are basically calling them out for what they're doing. Obviously that's one of those things that me and my audience absolutely love about you. So anybody that is here in the audience that might not know who you are, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started?
Yeah. So I'm Laura Loomer. I'm 26 years old, originally from Tucson, Arizona, and I am a conservative investigative journalist. And I got started with my journalism career when I was in college. I went to college in Miami, Florida at a school called Barry University. And while I was at Barry, I majored in broadcast journalism and minored in political science. And I was the president of the College Republicans while I was in school. And I realized when I was in college and the president of College Republicans how much discrimination there was against conservatives and how uneven the playing field was when you compared the College Republicans versus College Democrats. And so, I was always a straight A student. I had a 4.0 GPA, but I would always challenge people on campus, right? And nobody could really screw with me outside of, trying to prevent me from having my events because I was always the best student in all of my classes. Well, I ended up doing an investigation with Project Veritas, an expose on my university. And that's what really got me kicked out of college, and it really started the bans because I'm now banned from my alma mater because I did this investigation on hidden camera where I told the administrators that I wanted to start a pro-ISIS club. And I figured, well, if they're not going to let me have my College Republican club, I bet they'd let me have an ISIS club. And I said that I wanted to call the club Sympathetic Students in Support of the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. And, you can see the video online, and these administrators said, yeah, sure, no problem. Just why don't you change the name to Students in Support of the Middle East so nobody knows that you're giving money to ISIS? And so they not only told me how I could have my club, but they told me how I could cover it up. Long story short, the video went really viral, and I ended up getting kicked out of college a month before graduation, even though I was set to be valedictorian.
That is insane.
Yeah, no, it's pretty insane. So I got kicked out of college, and it was kind of interesting because then they banned me from my college. And so I packed all my stuff into my car, and I drove to New York, and I started working for Project Veritas and James O'Keefe full time. And this was in 2015. And I was working undercover with Project Veritas for several years, deeply embedded in the Hillary Clinton campaign, exposing Hillary Clinton and her senior officials and volunteers all across the country in their different field offices. And, some of my videos had a direct role in helping President Donald Trump get elected. And you can see all the videos. And I know that you had Zak Voorhees, the whistleblower on your program in the past. And he, of course, did some work with Project Veritas recently. So it's an amazing organization. And that's where I spent the first 3 years out of college and, the last few months of my senior year working. And I did a lot of really good investigations. I dressed up in a full burqa and got Huma Abedin's ballot on election day because there's voter fraud, of course. And I did this as kind of like a tongue-in-cheek thing to show why we needed voter ID. All types of investigations. And then I just decided after Trump got elected that I really wanted to be independent, and I wanted to create my own style of journalism because I felt like I had a lot of talents that could better be used in the public persona instead of being undercover where nobody would know who I was. And so I left Project Veritas on great terms. I love James O'Keefe. He's a mentor of mine. He's like a brother to me. And then I started making my own videos. And the first thing that I did that really put me in the public spotlight after I left Project Veritas was you remember the Shakespeare in the Park play where all these kind of deranged liberals in New York City were gathering in Central Park and watching this bastardization of Julius Caesar, where Caesar was dressed up as a Trump lookalike, and they were stabbing him and basically cheering on the assassination of Trump.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's how I first heard of you. Yeah.
Yeah. So you may recall that somebody stormed the stage and basically got arrested in the park. That was me. So I got arrested, and then overnight I generated a following of 50,000 people, and I was on the front page of all these papers. I mean, the New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, they were having panels discussing political violence. And it was the first time really that a conservative had done a viral form of protest against the left. And so it was kind of shocking. And a lot of conservatives were turned off because, conservatives kind of have this mentality that, ooh, it's taboo. We're not leftists, right? We have jobs. We don't protest. We don't use our constitutional right to protest and peacefully assemble. And that's where I think a lot of conservatives go wrong, because there's nothing wrong with protesting as long as it's peaceful. It's a very powerful and effective tool for controlling and taking over the narratives in the mainstream media and getting your point across. And so from that moment on, I had a lot of online popularity, but then I became a polarizing figure on the left and the right, because leftists hated me and conservatives were torn over whether they should support me.
Right.
Which was weird, because everything I was doing was in support of President Trump, right? It's not like I was doing anything that was, bad for the country.
Right. No, I totally agree with you, and now that you said all that stuff that you did with Project Veritas, I knew about all that stuff when it was happening, but I had no idea that was you. So that's very, very cool. Now, did your college actually stop you from graduating? Would they not allow you to graduate, or would they just not allow you to participate?
I was banned from my college, and yeah, I was supposed to be valedictorian, and they wouldn't let me go to my own graduation. So wow. I didn't really care. I just hung out on the beach anyway on graduation day, and I was still valedictorian. It's not like nobody else had a 4.0 GPA, so they can't take that away from me. No. But even then, I don't really care, because what I did made a point. And this is the problem with college campuses across the country, right? You go to college, you waste all this money getting a useless degree that, it's not even going to matter. You have people majoring in the most absurd things, and half the time you have to, deprogram yourself from all the propaganda that these professors try to shove down your throats. And I didn't even really learn anything in college. It was a waste of money. I guess I'm happy I went to college because of the way that my life turned out, and I met James O'Keefe, and I don't think I would be where I am today if it didn't happen. I think I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason, but I spent a lot of my time in college just arguing with people and trying to tell my professors, hey, no, we probably shouldn't be saying we should have sympathy for ISIS. And yeah, no, we probably shouldn't be, telling students to chant Allahu Akbar during 9/11 memorial services. And I don't know, these people just aren't very smart, these educators, no. In a lot of the college campuses that we see today. There are some very nice people. There are some conservative professors, but they have to pretend like they're not, because you see how vicious everybody is, and they target and they try to get these professors fired. So it's very unfortunate that we now have this situation in our country where people have to pretend that they don't have a radical left-wing agenda just to appease people who are proponents of cancel culture. So
yeah, it's a shame.
Going on then, what happened was, after the whole Shakespeare in the Park thing, I ended up making my own videos called Loomered videos, and they became viral. I never thought they would be this popular, but people love them, and it made me kind of one of the most notorious conservative women on the internet. And what I would do is I would show up to high profile Democrats and leftist book signings, and I would wait in line and I would loomer them. And no one had ever, I don't know why this became such a big deal. It was so funny to me, because for me, I was like, oh my God, why doesn't someone just ask Hillary Clinton about her emails, or why she stole all the money from the Haitians, and why she's so crooked, and what happened in Benghazi? I mean, we're in New York, right? The media capital of the world. So I waited in line for 8 hours and I asked her. And the video went so viral. People just couldn't believe that somebody asked Hillary Clinton these questions on camera, and I would stream it. And so I didn't have a lot of money. When I left Veritas, I remember sitting on my floor in my apartment, my new apartment, and I was crying because I had $1,200 in my bank account and my rent was $1,500 a month, and I had no new job, and I was crying thinking, what am I going to do, man? Like, how am I going to, survive out here? I just hope that I'm able to actually be successful in going independent. And luckily, I was successful. And I've continued to just believe in myself and not listen to the haters and the people who have told me, why don't you get a real job? And even my parents at first were not really, in favor or supportive of me going around confronting people on camera, but I made a career out of it, and it's proven to be successful. But of course, when you confront all these high profile people like Hillary Clinton, James Comey, Linda Sarsour, Maxine Waters, all types of people, you become a target. And that's what happened. Is I became too popular, and I was very effective in embarrassing and exposing radical leftists. And my videos were having direct results, and people loved it. And I wasn't funded by any, mainstream media organizations, no millionaires, no billionaires. And so they began to attack me, the big tech social media companies, along with the Democrats. And the final straw, I guess it happened last November 2018 during the elections, when I was in Minnesota for several months prior, doing an investigation into Ilhan Omar. And I was the first journalist in this country to ever confront her on video and ask her why she married her brother, why she hates Jews, why she hates Israel. And, I was exposing Keith Ellison, who, of course, was the deputy chair of the DNC at the time. And my investigations into his domestic violence forced him to resign from the DNC, right?
Yes.
And this was a big blow to him and the Democrat Party. And so then I was first suspended on Twitter a week before the election, right? And I didn't do anything wrong. They just shut me down because I was releasing all these exposés on Democrats a week before the election. And then after that, I got my account back after 7 days. And several days after that, I was permanently banned on November 21st because I tweeted Ilhan Omar was anti-Jewish. And I don't know. I mean, when the Democrats are passing resolutions condemning Ilhan Omar's anti-Semitism, I think it's pretty much, a point of fact that she hates Jews. So I lost my 265,000 Twitter followers. I was getting 150 million impressions per month, right?
Wow.
I probably had more than 265,000 followers because we all know Jack Dorsey is an absolute fascist, and he deletes people's followers, and Twitter will do these purges where they just strip you of like 50,000 of your followers at a time. So, I mean, who knows? I probably had, honestly, like millions of followers, because if I'm getting 150 million impressions and they're taking away my followers every day,
right,
like millions of people. And then the bans just kept on coming after Twitter. So things just really went downhill from there. And now I'm the most banned woman in the world. I'm banned on every social media platform. The first ban, besides my college, of course, was Uber and Lyft. And that's what caused Jack Dorsey, I guess, to take away my Twitter verification. And then a year later, I was permanently banned. But now I'm banned everywhere. I'm banned on Uber, Lyft, Uber Eats. Like, I'm literally not even allowed to order a sandwich. They want me to starve.
Wow.
Luckily I'm not the skinniest woman in the world, so I can skip a few meals and I won't die if Uber Eats doesn't deliver.
What was the reasoning for you being banned by Uber and Lyft?
Well, they said that I was anti-Muslim and that
Oh.
I violated their terms of service, but nobody ever asked me my side of the story. And every time I tell my side of the story, people realize, wow, she's got a really good point there. So what happened was on Halloween, we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of 2017. I was getting ready to go out in New York, and I had my Hillary Clinton for prison outfit on, and was going to go pass out some, lock her up cards. And, I just was looking to have a good time and living in New York at the time. And then there was a terrorist attack. This Muslim Uber driver, he drove a truck into a bike lane in New York City, and he killed 8 people. And then he got out of his car and started shouting Allahu Akbar and pledged allegiance to ISIS.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to cover this up, but an investigation showed that he didn't even have a valid driver's license. This guy whose name literally translated to Sword of Allah in Arabic. And I know, it's just absurd, right?
Wow.
And he got out of his car and pledged allegiance to ISIS. And it turns out that he was an Uber driver. And Uber didn't even, care about the fact that this guy had an invalid driver's license or that he was a member of ISIS.
No background checks.
Yeah, no background checks whatsoever. And then 8 innocent people were dead. And so the next day, there was a press conference in New York City, and I tweeted that I was going to be 30 minutes late to the press conference because I couldn't find a non-Islamic Uber, Lyft, or taxi cab driver. And I said that someone needed to create a non-Islamic form of Uber and Lyft because I didn't want to ride with any more Islamic immigrant drivers. And I had a good reason to say this because 2 months prior to the terrorist attack, it was Rosh Hashanah, and I am Jewish, of course, and I was in New York City with a friend, and we were talking, we had gone shopping for the day, and then we ordered an Uber, and the Uber driver was a Muslim man in full Islamic garb. And I didn't care that he was a Muslim. I had plenty of Muslim drivers before then. And I just got in the car, put my bags in, and my friend and I were talking, and she goes, well, where do you want to have dinner? And we were talking about Rosh Hashanah. Well, the Muslim Uber driver, whose name was Muhammad, wasn't having this talk about Rosh Hashanah. So he slammed on the brakes and demanded that me and my friend, Jane Ruby, get out of the car. And he refused to complete the ride. And he started screaming at us just because we were Jewish. And we filed a report with Uber and the New York City Human Rights Commission. And it ended up getting assigned to a Muslim caseworker who threw the case out. And Uber didn't do anything about it. And so then 2 months later, when this terrorist attack happened, obviously I was like, well, clearly Uber isn't doing background checks. And what's to say I'm not going to get thrown out of another Uber by a Muslim driver?
That's fair.
And what's to say, like, I'm not going to get killed by an ISIS terrorist Uber driver? I mean, it's really scary when you're in New York City and you see dead bodies on the ground and everybody's just walking around in their costumes as if nothing happened. And, their idiot mayor, Bill de Blasio, doesn't even like shut down the subway system. And like, who's to say there's not more out there? Like, this couldn't have been a coordinated attack, right? So
Absolutely.
I think it's a matter of public safety. And when you read the Quran and you see that there's more Jew hatred in the Quran than Hitler's Mein Kampf, and you look at the way that women are treated under Islamic law, and the Quran basically under Sharia law, the premise of the Quran and Islam calls for women to be worth half of men. Under Sharia law, women can be beaten by their husbands. Rape isn't recognized because men are allowed to sexually abuse women. I mean, it's horrific, right? And
Absolutely.
And so it freaks me out as a Jewish woman. And instead of letting me have my free speech, Uber and Lyft just decided to ban me. And so it was ridiculous. And from that point on, every time you see an article about me, it says, anti-Muslim bigot Laura Loomer, who was banned from Uber and Lyft for an anti-Muslim tweet storm. It was a way for them to just defame me and portray me as some type of monster when I was just really worried about people being safe and not getting killed in a bike lane on Halloween.
So, which kind of brings us to the reasons for several of your lawsuits. And I'd like to actually ask you, how have you been able to survive, as a pundit when you've been essentially unpersoned and deplatformed from all of these
Right.
various places. I know that political punditry is something that you can make a career out of. You're a journalist. You're out there traveling around. It costs money. You have to survive. How have you been able to get by?
Right. Well, I mean, they totally destroyed my business when all of these companies banned me because, I'm banned on Twitter. I'm banned on Uber, Lyft, Uber Eats, GoFundMe, PayPal, Venmo, Teespring, Medium, Facebook, Instagram, Periscope. Look, I'm literally banned everywhere on every single platform, Medium included. And so all of the tools that somebody, an independent journalist, an investigative journalist like myself would need in order to have a successful life as an independent content creator, and you know this because you're an independent content creator, have been taken from me for false reasons. I mean, I have been deemed a white supremacist, neo-Nazi, anti-Muslim bigot, and Facebook branded me as a dangerous individual, which is essentially a terrorist according to their own like terms of service or whatever they want to call it. And so it's been really devastating. I lost 90% of my income when I was banned from Twitter because I was getting, like I said, 150 million impressions per month, and I would put my PayPal link onto my videos, and my videos were viral, and it cost thousands of dollars to travel. Like you're buying plane tickets, you're paying for hotels, you're paying for cell phones that I had to replace often because radical leftists would try to like steal them or break them, right? Rashida Tlaib was on video trying to steal and break my phone, and then she physically assaulted me. I've had a phone broken by members of Antifa who physically attacked me in New York City. It's expensive, and I'm not backed by multimillionaires or billionaire organizations or mainstream media. And so then what happened is after I lost my income, I was still able to prove that one person can make a difference. So I notoriously handcuffed myself to the front door of Twitter's headquarter office a week after I was banned. And while being banned, I trended #1 on Twitter above President Trump. I trended #1 worldwide. And then after that, everyone said, all right, well, this is Laura Loomer's last big splash. Like, death of a provocateur. She's done. You're never going to see her again. Her career's over. And then a month and a half later, I rented a car, drove to the Mexican border, and I found some illegal alien amigos at the Home Depot, and I brought them to Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi's mansion, and I hopped over her wall and put up a sanctuary tent on her lawn. And yeah, well, I trended #1 again.
I covered that.
Then, I got kicked out of CPAC for confronting Oliver Darcy, this radical left-wing reporter for CNN who basically like coordinates deplatforming efforts to get conservatives like myself and Alex Jones banned. And then I trended #1 again after I got kicked out of CPAC. And then, when I filed my run for Congress, I trended #1 again. So they want to kill the messenger, but what these big tech fascists like Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg have failed to really understand is that you can kill the messenger or you can try, because they haven't killed me. And mark my word, like I am going to win my congressional race, and I will see Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg again as a member of Congress. So I'm looking forward to that day. But you can't kill the message.
No, obviously you've endured despite that. So who are you suing, and what are you suing them for?
Yeah. So because of all these bans, I have filed numerous lawsuits. And in January of this year, after I was permanently banned on Twitter, there was an investigative report that came out from the Wall Street Journal that showed how the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is a designated Islamic terrorist organization, lobbied Twitter behind the scenes to ban me. So basically, like Jack Dorsey and these executives at Twitter took meetings with members of an Islamic terrorist organization that our federal government found had ties to Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood. And they were like, we don't really like the fact that Laura Loomer is investigating Ilhan Omar, who we've endorsed and are putting money behind. Can you ban her? And they were like, yeah, sure. So they banned me. So then I filed a lawsuit in April for tortious interference against CARE and Twitter. That's going well. And then I filed a class action lawsuit, an antitrust case against Google, Twitter, Apple, and Facebook. And they tried to get the case dismissed, and it was originally dismissed, and then we appealed, and then they tried to get the case dismissed again, and the DC Circuit Court of Appeals said that they're actually going to hear my case. So I'm really looking forward to going to the DC Circuit Court of Appeals and delivering a truckload of evidence against these companies. It's going to be really great because I do believe I'm going to be victorious in that. And then I filed a $3 billion lawsuit against Facebook for defamation. Because they deemed me as a dangerous individual. So several very big lawsuits against these companies, probably more to come because my legal team and I have come into, we've become aware of some even more egregious activity on behalf of these companies and more collusion between powerful companies and executives. And I think that the American people are really going to be shocked once they realize like how dirty this is and like who in the country is pulling these strings and who outside of the country. So with CARE, for example, like you have the Qatar government, you have the government of Qatar, which of course is very hostile to the United States. They're funders of terrorism all around the world, basically funding CARE, who is taking these meetings with Twitter and requesting that American Jewish pro-Trump journalists be banned. You have the SPLC in the case of Gavin McInnes. But, what have I told you that multi-billion-dollar corporations were securing lucrative fundraising deals, or not fundraising, advertising deals with the big tech companies and demanding that certain individuals be banned online, or else these companies like Facebook and Twitter and Google wouldn't get their multi-billion-dollar advertising agreements. Like that's what we're dealing with here.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
And so my legal team and I will be making some more announcements soon. But look, the media, of course, hates me. They don't want to talk about the fact that my lawsuits are having a lot of success. So you haven't really seen a lot with my lawsuits, with the exception of a few weeks ago, Facebook filed a motion to have my defamation case dismissed, and they admitted that they were a publisher. So look, that means that they perjured themselves in front of Congress because Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey and Sheryl Sandberg said that they were platforms and they weren't publishers. And now, in their attempt to try to defame me and issue threats against my life, Facebook is saying that they're a publisher. So they can't have their cake and eat it too. And look, they're trying to get in the weeds of the Section 230 argument between platform versus publisher, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day because none of that gives them the right to change their terms of service and say, yeah, well, it's okay to post death threats and high severity violence against dangerous individuals and say Laura Loomer is a dangerous individual. Like Facebook has 2 billion users and they basically declared open season on my life. But then ISIS still has a Facebook page. Hamas has Facebook. Antifa has Facebook. Muslim Brotherhood has Facebook. I just don't understand how I'm more dangerous than people who are like literally chopping people's heads off in the Middle East.
Well, I think the answer to that is that you are dangerous to the agendas of those groups. And as you've just stated, people backing those groups are also backing these tech companies. It's lucrative for them to go ahead and keep that stuff going because it's part of their agenda, what they're trying to do. Now, real quick, Laura, I just need to give a couple of quick thank yous to some people in the audience. Let's see. Norman Smith said, much respect for Laura, great guest. Terry Fell wanted me to say hi to her sister Sharon. Sharon, hello, I'm glad you're here. God's Guy and Gina's Girl said, love you, Laura. Miss you on Twitter. Love you, Big Red. Hi from the parking lot of Walmart, Oregon. We love you. Glad you guys made it. Ben Schwagel said, you should tell her about the serpent seed. We'll talk about that later. It explains why Hillary is so corrupt. I call them what they are, the serpent seed, Cain's lineage. Do you think Hillary Clinton, it's possible Hillary Clinton is descended from the devil? During your time undercover? She's a horrible person, and we see how tied in the Democrat Party is, and their key people like Hillary Clinton with big tech. Because look, I'm not really a fan of Tulsi Gabbard. I know that a lot of people like her because she
is kind of like the most normal and sane out of all the Democrat presidential
She's
candidates.
she's the only one with a backbone.
Yeah, but
I don't like her politics, but I mean, you have to respect her.
Well, I would respect her a lot more if she returned the donation that Jack Dorsey gave to her campaign, because I'm so sick of these people who go around saying like, "Ooh, I'm so anti-big tech," and "Ooh, look, they're censoring me, they're deplatforming me, they're interfering in my election," and then they're taking money from Jack Dorsey. Like, Jack Dorsey is an evil person. Jack Dorsey is intentionally interfering in our elections by giving accounts to Democrat candidates while denying me access. Jack Dorsey literally changed the Twitter terms of service the day after I filed my congressional race. And their policy at Twitter used to be, well, if you file and you run as a congressional candidate, we're going to give you a verified Twitter account. But then when I filed to run, they changed their policy to say that you have to win the primary. Well, Florida has the latest primary out of any state in the country, and it's 11 weeks till the general election. So I basically won't get a verified Twitter till I win the primary, and I'm going to win the primary. But then what? They're going to say, oh, no, we're just kidding. We're no verified Twitter till you win the general. And then I'm going to win the general, and then what are they going to do? Are they literally going to ban a sitting U.S. Congresswoman? So I just think that it's very hypocritical for Tulsi Gabbard to be going around with this like persecution complex on TV, acting like she's so oppressed when she is like willingly participating in the interference in our election with people who are way worse than Russia, and that's big tech. You know, forget about Russia. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about Russian interference, Russian collusion, because, you know, at the end of the day, like, Russia has nothing on big tech. And Tulsi Gabbard, I don't think she's a Russian agent. I think this is some crazy lie carried out by you know, the DNC and Hillary Clinton, who obviously wants to run for president again. But I do think Tulsi Gabbard is an agent of big tech, because you cannot like look yourself in the mirror with a straight face and say, yeah, well, I want to sue Google for interfering in my election, but I'm going to take money from Jack Dorsey. It doesn't work that way, girlfriend.
I could see how someone could make the argument that they're two different companies. I mean, obviously, I think there's some level of collusion. I had someone contact me who worked at Twitter, and they said that there was a list that is curated by these social media companies. People that are effective, people like you. They said, I was on this list. You've already been deleted. But I'm on there, and they're looking for a reason to delete me. So I try to tiptoe around, you know, everything that I do on the channel. But, you know, I mean, like, they are working together in that respect. But just up until this point, I would bet that Twitter has not censored Tulsi Gabbard in the same way that Google did. I mean, they shut her down. They would not allow her to advertise. But your point is well taken. I mean, they are in league together. Absolutely. Real quick,
yeah, but
Laura?
At least Tulsi Gabbard has a Twitter account and she's verified. Like, I'm not denying the fact that she was probably shut down by Google, because I know that Google's already interfering in my race too. I mean, people are telling me that my campaign emails, and if you want to sign up for my campaign emails and updates and donate to my campaign, you can go to lauraloomerforcongress.com and do so. But every day I get people saying, oh, I signed up, but it's going to my spam. And I clicked on the spam folder and said it's not spam, and it's still going to my spam and junk folder. And I'm like, oh, what browser are you using? Or what do you have for email? Oh, Gmail, Google. So just today, a woman told me that she tried donating to my campaign on a Google browser and it wouldn't let her donate. So I'm being censored and sabotaged. But more so than any other candidate in this country. And obviously it's not like the persecution Olympics here, but I really do think that people need to, especially the Republican Party, and regardless, like if you are a Democrat, independent, regardless of your political affiliation, like, the thing that makes us all American and makes us the greatest country in the world is the First Amendment.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if you saw the news reports, but even while being banned on social media, I out fundraised all of my 5 GOP opponents and the sitting Democrat incumbent, who is a 4-term congresswoman, combined. I raised more money than all of them combined, and I am still banned on social media. So imagine how much money I could have raised if I had access to social media. And it just goes to show you, like, this really is a form of election interference, because I guarantee you that if I had access to the millions of people who were taken away from me and stolen from me by people like Dorsey and Zuckerberg, that I probably could have raised like 10 times that amount last
Oh,
quarter. And I didn't even have a full fundraising quarter. It was 2/3 of a quarter.
absolutely. I mean, I've been involved in politics before. I know how difficult it is to get out there. And back when I was involved in politics, there was no social media. So the fact that you've been able to do this and be so successful, and frankly, I mean, it's a Democratic district as well, isn't it? I mean, Florida is right leaning, but you're basically fighting uphill at this point, because how long has Frankel been in office?
She's been in office for 4 terms, and she's best friends with Nancy Pelosi. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it is pretty remarkable. I don't want to toot my own horn, but it is pretty remarkable that I was able to out fundraise a Democratic incumbent and all the GOP opponents combined while banned on social media in a Democrat district. It's not like this is a Republican district. Like, this is a D+9 district that went for Hillary Clinton. And obviously it's where Mar-a-Lago is located. And I'm going to make history regardless of big tech. And I'm going to flip the district, and it's going to become Republican. And finally, there's going to be a Republican in control of the Mar-a-Lago district. And it's going to be great. But, I have to work way harder than any other candidate in this country. I have to work way harder than the sitting incumbent. I have to work way harder than all of my GOP opponents combined, because they have access to social media, which has a monetary value. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's an FEC violation, because when you think about it, it's an in-kind contribution to the Democrat Party and the Democrat candidates from big tech. And I don't know why the Republican Party hasn't just filed a massive lawsuit about this, because forget about me, right? Think of all the other candidates in this country running for office who are Republican, who are being denied or missing out on millions of dollars collectively, hundreds of millions of dollars collectively in fundraising because they're banned.
It seems to me like there's definitely grounds for a class action lawsuit there, especially if you team up with some other people like Devin Nunes, Matt Gaetz, people that we know that were specifically affected by this suppression that they've got. I just need to give a couple of more quick thank yous. Musically Photographed said, "Thank you for everything you do, Laura, a true patriot. Thank you for having her on. Red Pill, I love and appreciate your work as well." Well, thank you very much for that. Whitehead said, "Remember the tweet map had a taxi tracker in NYC. Wonder why it's even a thing, to be honest." I think that was from before talking about the Uber stuff. And then Filled with Hope says, "You both are totally inspiring. Thank you for following your passion and living with such integrity." Thank you for that. I appreciate that, Filled with Hope. Ben Schwagel says, "Ask her if she knows of the Aramaic Targum and if she follows it. If she doesn't know it, she should look into it." Gaffer Anon says, "You continue to get great guests. Where we go, when we go all." Thank you for that, Gaffer. Bob James says, "Great show as always." Sharon Barasa, thank you very much for that generous super chat. Thank you, Bob, as well. Tony Tillis, thank you for that. And Patriotic Truth News says, "Tulsi supports socialist equal pay. She is a fraud." I don't want to give anyone the wrong impression. I am not a fan of Tulsi Gabbard. I simply think she is the only Democratic candidate who is not, absolutely tugging the party line. She sets herself apart in that she's got her own agenda that she's out there trying to put forward. I don't want anybody to vote for Tulsi Gabbard. I simply, just was saying that I respect her on a certain level. And I think that also the fact that Hillary Clinton tries to call her out as a Russian agent tells you right there that the Democratic establishment does not like her. Now, Laura, are you getting any support from the Republican establishment?
I'm just reading these comments on YouTube. Not yet, but that's why it's so important for all of your viewers to donate, because the NRCC is required to take a meeting with me once I raise $250,000. That's their policy. And that's what I've been told is the official party policy, so that everybody in the media, like all these left-wing reporters and even people on the right who want to drag me for some reason, even though I'm a patriot and I've been fighting for everybody, not just myself, have said, "Oh, Laura Loomer's not going to raise a dime. This is a joke. She's never going to win." Well, I'm only like $90,000 away from having enough money for when the party is required to meet with me. And that's when it's really game on. So I would encourage everybody who's watching right now, because every dollar matters, whether it's 5, 10, 100. The max donation somebody can give is $5,600. That's 28 for the primary and 28 for the general. Or if you're a married couple and you're a United States citizen, $11,200. As soon as I reach that 250 mark, they're going to have to take a meeting with me. And it's going to be really great because, you know, I'm in this to win it, and I am going to win. And the race itself is going to cost millions of dollars. And so while I'm excited that I out fundraise the Democrat incumbent, it's going to, you know, be an uphill battle from here because we're still going to have to raise a lot more money. And so I have to do that while being banned everywhere. And I really haven't had any direct support yet. But I know that it will come, and I don't expect a handout because you have to prove that you are a viable candidate. And like I said, I have to work harder than anybody else because unfortunately I've been deemed a white supremacist. I've been deemed anti-Muslim. And there's a lot of people who are probably skeptical of me because of the hit jobs the left has done on me. And I'm not a racist. I'm not a bigot. I'm not anti-Muslim. I'm none of those things that people say that I am. I'm just effective, and that's why they banned me. And so I'm just going to stay positive, and I'm just going to tune all of the haters out. And it's going to be like it was on election night 2016 when people said Hillary was going to win, and then they had to say the words President Donald Trump. A year from now on election night, they're going to have to say Congresswoman Laura Loomer.
That's so cool, Laura. It's great to see that you've been so successful here. Because when I heard that you were running a couple months ago, you know, I was like, well, this is going to be really interesting. You know, knowing what I knew previously, what I said about it being a Democratic district, you know, I said, I know that she is going to have to really work hard for this. And to know that you've done so much in such a short amount of time is really heartening, I think, for a lot of people. You know, I mean, there's a lot of great messages from people in the chat. People wish you much luck. Dana just said a great show and wish Laura the best of luck. You know, are you working with any other candidates in the area? Any other Republican candidates that may be forming like, you know, a group of people? I've seen that happen quite often amongst different parties.
No, I'm just focused on my campaign right now, and no one's really reached out. I have a really great general consultant, Karen Giorno, who was President Trump's state director for the state of Florida. So President Trump wouldn't have won Florida without Karen Giorno. And wow. So, you know, I have you know, an A-list team, and I have some really smart people who I'm very blessed to be working with, and it's going to be really good. And look. People won elections without Twitter before and without Facebook, and it can be done again. And, you know, I'm on Parler. I'm on Gab. I'm still on YouTube. And, you know, I'm just gonna, like I said, I have to work a lot harder. I'm gonna have to do a lot more than, you know, traditional candidates may have to do because I'm at a disadvantage and my civil rights are being violated. And even though I'm a very high profile person and I'm constantly in the news, like nobody has really helped me. There's been nobody who's really like reached out, or any high profile people that have really like pushed to raise this issue. And I think that more people and all of your viewers can do that. You can start, you know, tweeting at people and tweeting at the president and tweeting at the Republican Party and tweeting at others and asking them, you know, when they're going to do something about the fact that a congressional candidate who has now outraised the Democrat incumbent candidate is banned on social media. I mean, this is real election interference. And Americans, whether you're Republican or Democrat, should all be outraged because the social media companies think that they're God. Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey think that they are superhumans that get to determine who your representative will be. And I think that's wrong. They shouldn't be able to decide who wins elections simply because they have access as the CEOs and executives of these companies. I mean, it's a total abuse of power. And you know, I really do believe that they ought to be imprisoned for perjury. And when I'm elected, I'm going to make sure that they are.
I like that. Now, Laura, if people go to your website, I've been putting it in the chat for people to go and sign up for your mailing list. Do you have like a spot where people can sign up to volunteer for the campaign or help out, you know, with donations and stuff?
Yeah, if you go to lauraloomerforcongress.com, you'll see that there's an email option to put your email in to sign up for updates. And then there's a tab that says volunteer and a tab that says donate. So if you sign up for email updates and you click on volunteer, you can fill out the volunteer form. And you can donate as well. And you can sign up to do monthly donations. And, you know, even though this is a local election here in Florida's 21st Congressional District, it's really like a national effort because I have fans all over the world here in the United States. all over the country. Donors donated from all 50 states. And a lot of you still have access to social media. So every single day you can post my donation link. You could post my campaign website. You could tell people to support me. If you're ever in Palm Beach and you want to come knock some doors for me, email the campaign. It's press at Laura Loomer for Congress. And you can just sign up, and I hope to meet all of you, because we're really going to teach these people a lesson. I'm going to get elected, and we're going to really show Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg and all of these other fascists in Silicon Valley that they are not going to interfere in our elections, and they are not going to silence us, because this is America. And if they want to be communists, then they can go to China.
So how does that look? Are you out there walking door to door? Are you handing out mailers, or are you just doing direct mail? And
I've been doing a lot, and so I don't want to give away my entire campaign winning strategy, but I would say that I'm doing pretty well right now, given that I out fundraise the incumbent. And so I'm just going to continue to be positive, and I really do believe in manifesting your own destiny. And I've been surrounded by a lot of negative energy over the last year and a half, with people, trying to ruin my life, trying to sabotage me, trying to financially blacklist me and drive me into poverty. People trying to incite violence against my life. People telling me that I'm going to fail. Multi-billion-dollar companies working to make sure that I fail. And I didn't do anything to anybody. I just simply exposed the left and was doing real journalism, and they didn't like that. So clearly I'm effective, and clearly I'm having a big impact on them and their agenda, because why else would they work to target? I'm now 26, but they've been targeting me since I was like 24,
Yeah.
Why else would these multi-billion-dollar companies like Facebook and Google and Twitter and PayPal and, all the rest of them, why would they be coming after me if I wasn't a threat? I mean, aren't there more powerful people out there with more resources? I'm not even rich. I don't even have any money.
Now, oh shoot, I totally lost what I was going to say. I was thinking about when I ran for city council back in 2001. I literally walked to every single door, every single house in the city, and met everyone face to face. But I know that for a congressional race, I imagine it's probably a much larger area that you're going out to. Oh, my question was, do you have any in-person fundraising events that are coming up that people who are perhaps in Florida that maybe they can come and hang out and
Not yet. I haven't had a single fundraiser yet, and I out fundraised the Democrat incumbent. So I think that's pretty crazy. I mean, I haven't even had a fundraiser yet. So I'm sure that I'm going to have some really exciting announcements soon, and I'll probably have some fundraisers. And if any of your audience members, are able to throw fundraisers, because I'm sure that you have people from all different financial backgrounds, and who knows, maybe there are some wealthier individuals listening to this podcast who would be willing to have a fundraiser for me, because like I said, this is a grassroots effort, and every dollar counts, whether it's 5, 10, 100, 1,000, 2,800, 5,600, 11,200, whatever you can afford to do. But at the end of the day, it's going to cost millions. And so it's, we need everybody. We need everybody to come together and do what they can to help me win.
Laura, I am shocked to learn that you have not had a fundraising event yet. That is
not a single one.
Absolutely insane. Good for you. Good for you.
I haven't had a single fundraiser. So just imagine what I'm going to be able to do when I actually have fundraisers. So
imagine if you had one at Mar-a-Lago.
Maybe. Who knows? I don't know.
So everybody, share this broadcast, tag President Trump on Twitter, let him know that we've got a new woman in town in Florida's 21, and then maybe we can get you a fundraiser going at Mar-a-Lago.
Who knows? I mean, who knows where it will be, but isn't that so cool? I'm running in Florida's District 21, so that means that when I win, I'll be President Trump's congresswoman.
Yes.
President Trump will be calling me congresswoman, congresswoman.
That'll be so cool. And you won't storm out of meetings in the Situation Room either. Real quick, Patriotic Truth News says Daniel Concetta, Haley, and Adams Portland support Laura Loomer. I think maybe that's somebody down in your district that he's asking to support you. Marlis, Where We Go When We Go All, says God bless Laura, God bless our president, God bless Red Pill, God bless us all, keep talking Patriots. That's right. Thank you for that, and thank you for everybody who's here. Burn Your Bridges says, hashtag free Laura Loomer. That's right. Thank you for that. Lulu D says, next time you visit Pelosi's Vineyard, call me, girl. Next time you're out at Pelosi's Vineyard. Okay, then B-Tech Vendetta said, great interview, Red Pill 78. Laura, do you know Tiffany Fitzhenry, or do you work with her? I love what you do. Good luck on your campaign. Are you? Do you know who Tiffany Fitzhenry is?
I don't know who she is.
Okay. Well, she's another investigative journalist. She does entertainment stuff, Hollywood stuff. She's out in California.
Awesome.
I'm pretty sure that Zak knows her. So,
aside from my congressional campaign, I also have a news company that the left and big tech have been trying to destroy. It's called Loomered.com. You can go to Loomered.com, and every day we post real news stories and investigations. And so I have a team of writers. So if you ever have any tips, any of your audience members, and they want some pieces written up, you can email Laura at lauraloomer.us, because that's my job, and you're allowed to keep your job when you're running for Congress. And so not only am I running for Congress, but I am still an active investigative journalist. So you can also subscribe for my email updates. I send out a newsletter every single day at loomered.com, and it's a lot of really useful information. And really the site, it used to be a lot of my videos and my exposés of the left and my Loomered videos, but now, it's really turning into a tech site. And I really do think that my site, Loomered.com, is going to dominate sites like Gizmodo and TechCrunch that push out these ridiculous anti-free speech headlines every single day, because my site, you're going to see there's no other site like it in the world that is tracking it on the level that I'm tracking it. All of the bias and the social media censorship of everybody, whether it's conservatives or whoever, it's mostly conservatives. But if you're interested in learning about or seeing kind of like an encyclopedia of nearly every case of social media bias and censorship, you can go to Loomered.com, because it's really crazy what's happening. I mean, did you know we have lawmakers in Congress like Frederica Wilson who are calling for people who post memes to be imprisoned?
Yes, I have seen something about that very recently.
Yeah. Now the FBI and DHS are conducting investigations with the help of Twitter into people who post memes about Beto O'Rourke. So, they're trying to criminalize your free speech. They don't want you to be able to post memes. They don't want you to have a First Amendment. They don't want you to have a Second Amendment. And that's why they need to, get somebody like me into Congress, because look, it's a crime to lie to Congress, and Jack Dorsey and Zuckerberg clearly perjured themselves. And on top of that, they are violating your rights. It's not even just a free speech issue anymore. It's a civil rights issue. And
absolutely,
people need to stop talking about it in terms of being a free speech issue, because when you start blacklisting people from the banks, like Chase Bank, suspended my online access to my bank account. Oh. Chase Bank is banning Trump supporters. PayPal is banning people. GoFundMe. I'm banned on GoFundMe. I'm banned on Venmo. I'm banned on PayPal. I got banned from Chase Bank. Like, that's a civil rights violation. When you're banned from Uber and Lyft, and Uber and Lyft is offering free rides during Hurricane Dorian, a Category 5 hurricane, to people who live in mandatory evacuation zones. And I live in a mandatory evacuation zone. Like, Hurricane Dorian was supposed to wipe out my district, and luckily we dodged it. But they're basically saying, all right, we'll give free rides to everybody except you. So what? My life doesn't matter? Like, one tweet I posted that wasn't even posted when I was in an Uber and Lyft is going to determine whether I get to drown in a hurricane or not.
Yeah,
and then PayPal banned my friend Jacob Engels in the middle of Hurricane Dorian. And he was using his PayPal credit card to get supplies. I mean, it's really dangerous. You're gonna ban someone from accessing their money in the middle of a hurricane?
That's just incredible. And they probably froze his funds. I'm sure that they didn't give him the money back, did they?
Yeah, no, they froze it, I think, for 100 days.
Wow. So. Wow. Real quick, we've got Gwen M. Hey Jude says, just donated and sent the tweet to President Trump. Go Laura. So you just got one donation at least. Ben Schmogel says, yes, you need to get in touch with Tiffany Fitzhenry. Like I said, I'm pretty sure Zak knows her. Then Gwen says, love your work. Watch religiously from New Zealand. And the last one is Social Observer. Has Laura got any heat from the ADL? I think you mentioned the SPLC, but how about the ADL?
Yeah. No, the ADL actually condemned me, which is really funny. The ADL condemned me, and they said that I don't deserve to be recognized as a real Jew because I'm an anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant bigot. I don't know why the ADL is defending Muslims more than Jews. I thought they were a Jewish organization. And why is the Anti-Defamation League defaming a Jew? Don't they basically scam people out of money into donating so that they can fight against defamation, but then they're defaming a Jew?
Yeah,
I mean, look,
they extort people.
That's what they're doing, right? Is they're saying, oh, we're an organization, we're going to protect the Jews, but only if you're the right kind of Jew. If you're a Jew like Laura Loomer and you don't support our globalist agenda, and you're a Zionist like Laura Loomer and you're conservative and you support the president, then we're going to sabotage you and defame you and shut you down. And this is another thing too, right? Like, I'm an open Zionist. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that you're a Zionist. And unfortunately, the ADL has actually increased anti-Semitism. And I do believe that the ADL is responsible for increased hate crimes and violence and attacks against Jews, because they are of the left-wing belief system, a globalist agenda, and they demonized Zionist Jews like myself, who are actually for less immigration, for stronger borders, for America First policies. And unfortunately, the ADL, they promote open borders agendas, and they align themselves with groups that are importing large amounts of Islamic immigrants into countries around the world. And so because of that, a lot of people have developed negative and false presumptions about Jewish people. And it's really unfortunate, because then they try to demonize people who are Zionists. And I constantly have to tell people, look, Zionists aren't the same as globalists, right? Like, Zionists are nationalists. And so I don't really know what the ADL thinks that they're doing that is supposedly benefiting the Jewish community, because they've been partnering with big tech to try to shut people down for having open discussions and branding people. I mean, the ADL is making lists of people. Hitler used to make lists, right? The ADL is making lists of conservatives and saying that they deserve to be banned, and they're falsely accusing people of being white supremacists. I mean, yeah, I'm a Jew. And they said I was a white supremacist. Okay. Like, one of their colleagues put a hit piece out about Yair Netanyahu, the son of the prime minister of Israel, because he tweeted in support of me, and he's a friend of mine. Right. So I think it's a shame. I think that the ADL should be ashamed of themselves for encouraging the censorship of Americans and anybody who doesn't go along with their radical left-wing agenda. And as a Jew, I fully condemn the ADL. I do not stand with the ADL. I don't want anything to do with the ADL. And I think that the ADL really ought to be broken up, because you can't have a guy like Jonathan Greenblatt in charge of the ADL, who used to work for Obama, saying, oh yeah, like, give us your money, we're combating anti-Semitism, when he worked for Obama. I mean, Obama posed for a picture with Louis Farrakhan, who's arguably one of the most vile anti-Semites in this country, calling Jewish people termites, and then the ADL is gonna refuse to condemn Obama. It's a total farce, and nobody should support the ADL. No, of course they're coming after me. They're one of their lead writers combating extremism and anti-Semitism. Oh, my puppy wants to say hello. This is attacking me.
Oh my gosh.
This is little Loomer, baby Loomer.
She is adorable. What's up, baby Loomer?
She wants to come say hi. So, the ADL has already been attacking me. And when they saw that I outraised one of their fellow left-wing self-hating Jews, they immediately took to Twitter to attack me. So, but I'm not going to let them get me down, because I've got a lot of information on the ADL that they don't want released. Let's just say that.
Well, good. Are you talking about doing an expose or bringing that out in court?
Well, I mean, look, they don't want somebody like me who has a national platform, somebody like me who's so high profile and is now getting all of this press attention and is going to be the next sitting congresswoman from Florida's 21st Congressional District, talking about the fact that their CEO or the president of the ADL is tied to a guy who's friends with Louis Farrakhan, right? A guy who is basically calling Jewish people the people of Satan. So they don't want somebody like me going up against them, because a lot of other people in the Jewish community haven't had the balls to go after the ADL, but I will go after the ADL just as I have in the past. I mean, I showed up to their headquarter office in New York City a couple years ago, and they had me thrown out. So they don't want to deal with me, because they're not going to be able to handle me.
Well, Laura, I think that no matter what happens, it's going to continue to be interesting to watch everything that you're doing. You've done great work thus far. Big ups, major props to everything that you've been able to accomplish. We're at the top of the hour. So once again, is there anything else?
One last thing to add, sorry, about the ADL is that, if they really cared about supporting Jewish people, then they wouldn't have given the donation that President Trump gave them back. And so they falsely accused our president of being a Nazi and a white supremacist when it was Donald Trump himself who, when he purchased Mar-a-Lago, actually got the country clubs in Palm Beach, where I'm running for office, to change their policy that said that no Jews were allowed. And so it wasn't until Donald Trump got to town here in Palm Beach that Jewish people were actually allowed to become members of country clubs. And so the ADL, if Donald Trump is doing such amazing things for Jews, why are you saying that you're giving his donation back?
That's crazy.
So these people are the real anti-Semites, and I'm not going to allow them to bully me. But to answer your question, if people want to support my congressional run, they can go to lauraloomerforcongress.com, and that's where they can donate, and that's where they can sign up to volunteer and send me some messages.
All right. Excellent. Well, Laura, thank you again for joining us. I do appreciate it. Hopefully we'll have you back on when you win your bid for Congress. And I hope that you have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Awesome. It's been fun. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. Guess what? We've got a special surprise. We're going to do a call-in show now. So I'm going to send out the information for this call here, this Zoom call, and I'm going to put it into the chat, and I'm going to give everybody the opportunity to call in, and we can talk about stuff, because I don't have anything else planned for the night. So whatever you guys want to talk about, we are going to be able to talk about. Let's go ahead and see. All right, guys, your information will appear on screen. Oh, shoot, that's not going to work. You guys, let me try this one more time. Copy the URL. Okay, so here is the URL. All right, you guys. So when you get on the phone with us, everyone's going to have a limited time. We're going to talk about some stuff. And if it's going to go on and on and on, guys, I am going to stop you, because I want everybody who wants to call in to have the ability to do so. If you want to talk about Laura, you want to talk about her congressional bid, if you want to talk about anything else in the news, we're welcome to it. But, of course, as always, please be respectful of your other people. So there you go, guys. This is going to get interesting. Now, I am going to cover up the screen for a moment until we get a couple of people in, so that I can cover up your phone numbers. Your phone numbers are going to appear if you call in on your phone, or if you call in on your computer, I believe it'll show your screen name. So, all right, Den Fu. Asking what's happening. You got blocked and timed out for asking what a Zionist is doing on your channel. Laura is a Zionist, I guess, and just because she's here on my channel doesn't mean that that's what I am. I think that you guys are going to find that I'm going to continue to have people of all different types joining us on the program. And I don't want to have people on the program that I exclusively share all of my political and societal views with, because I think that the conversations are more interesting when we have a variety of opinions. So I don't want people to think that I am, putting anything out there. Everything out there is everything that I subscribe to myself. So sorry if you got blocked for saying something. I didn't see the comment, so I don't know what it is. I think that Laura running for Congress is important. I think that anytime you've got somebody who is suppressed to the degree that she is, And she's still out there plugging away. I can't believe she's raised that much money, and she has not had a fundraising event yet. That's pretty incredible. But you know, I think that everybody has the right to have their own opinions and beliefs, and that's what's beautiful about America. So let's think about that. Nobody's calling in. Nobody has Zoom. Nobody wants to come on here. Yes, okay. Red Pill 78, fair enough. Free speech is something I can live with. There you go, Denfu. I'm glad we're on the same page there. You guys, ask her about. She's already gone, demunkers. So, guys, who has Zoom? Who's got Zoom and who wants to get on the phone with me? Who's got a question and wants to speak about what's happening in the world, you guys? Nobody's coming on. So, oh, hey, Patriot Politics Research. Brother, how are you, man? Billy, I think we might have you on mute, buddy. I can't hear anything. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hey, Red Pill.
There you are, brother. How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. What's going on, man? How you been?
Excellent interview with Laura. I know you're probably anticipating a lot of people calling in, so I'm going to make it short and sweet. I talked to the director of this upcoming movie called Revealing Ukraine, and there's a first part that's called Ukraine on Fire. It's available on Amazon and certain other, maybe Netflix. I don't have Netflix, but
okay.
If you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it. Watch it right now because it is amazing. And when part 2 drops, they go into how Victoria Nuland is like key and how all this stuff. It's amazing. I'll let you talk more about it. But the director told me he's gotten so many death threats. I went to the website contact. I scrolled down. I was like, what the hell? I'm just going to reach out to this guy. And he responded back, and we've been exchanging text messages. So.
Can you put me in touch with him? Because I would love to have him on the show.
Sure.
Okay.
For sure. You got it.
Yeah. Send him to my Skype because that's the quickest way to get a hold of me.
Perfect. You got it.
All right, dude. Awesome. Well, what else is going on with you, man? When was the last time you did your Q meetup?
When was it? It was probably maybe a couple months ago. Probably our last one was at Buckingham Fountain whenever the president went to London. But we plan on doing another one with all the raids here in Chicago. I think we're going to have our opportunities to be seen and go on. So
good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, Billy, I want to thank you for calling in, buddy. We need to have you back on the show for an extended length. I would love to have you on so that we can talk about the Yugoslavia stuff. Talk about what happened back in the 90s with President Clinton. So. Well, get in touch with me, dude, and we will put that together, and then we can do, a whole hour about it.
Awesome.
All right,
thanks, Red Pill.
Yep.
All right.
We'll talk to you.
Have a great day.
Peace. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye.
All right, so up next, we have Bob. Bob, what's up, buddy? How you doing? We got you on mute. I still got you on mute, buddy. Let me see. Unmute. I think you have to set your microphone.
How are we doing now?
There we go. There we are. Bob, is it okay if we identify you for the audience? If we tell them who you are?
Yeah, that's fine, Red Pill. I've been a guest of yours before.
All right. So Bob was the contact that we had that called in, and we did the special segment talking about deployments to Guantanamo Bay. So I want to say thank you very much for that. That was a great segment. Have you heard anything else since that day that we talked?
Nothing new on that front. It's just been interesting.
So what is going on? We talked a little bit about this earlier, but I don't know what you've got put together.
Sorry, I had to turn down my audio.
No problem.
Nothing new on that front, but it's been interesting following the Red October since then, and me and you have talked about a few things, and just sitting out by the fire tonight and enjoying it, having a good time. Laura was a great guest.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. She's just, like I said when I started, she's one of those firebrand figures. People either really resonate with her or they're just like, you know what, I don't like her style. But I think that anybody who is like her and can be so successful in kind of standing up to the establishment, no matter how they do it, I have tremendous respect for her. And especially with the fact that she is in this race in this Democratic district down there, Florida 21. I think it's going to be really, really interesting come election time if she is elected. I think it's very possible she could be successful.
I think so. If she's a go-getter and she takes their approach, and as far as, she trolls them as good as anybody. She's about as good as a troller as Trump.
Yep.
And so it's fun to watch, and this is war, so we have to take their tactics sometimes.
Absolutely. Well, did you want to get into any of that stuff that we were chatting about earlier today on Twitter, or do you want to save that for another segment that we're going to do together?
Well, you've got another upcoming call, I guess, around Halloween where you guys are going to get into
paranormal,
a little bit of paranormal stuff, right?
Yes. You can save it for that. That's cool.
Well, no, what I thought, maybe I'll just share my paranormal story with you tonight, a little teaser for that one.
All right, go for it.
And then, we talked about what we'll get together about again, is just getting through this and trying to help people, or even if you're struggling with yourself, is just, mindset and being your best self. And I've got some interesting theories on how a lot of different topics kind of all tie together into that we'll be talking about more later.
All right, sweet.
But a little teaser to your paranormal. I've had some of my own experiences. The first one, when I was in 4th grade, was 5 o'clock in the evening, summertime. The rules were come home at dark, so we still had a few hours to go. It was after dinner, and we're playing just a pickup game, football in the neighborhood with some kids, and I had this phantom pain in between my thumb and first finger that just felt like I got cut all the way down to the bone. Didn't know what it was, but I knew it was my mom. She raised us by herself mostly, and it was odd. I'm the oldest, and just always, I guess I was a mama's boy but anyways, there was some sort of connection there because I felt something, knew it was something wrong with her. And I said, guys, got to go. And I took off running home a couple hundred yards away. And sure enough, as soon as I darted in the door, she was sitting there with a towel on her hand, bleeding as she was drying the dishes. A tumbler broke in her hand and slid her. And It's like, I felt it. So that's kind of weird how sometimes, we might not be tapped into that stuff, but we're all kind of connected if you subconsciously.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the universe talks to us and sometimes it doesn't. But that was a little cool story when I was younger.
That is pretty sweet.
And then moved a little bit further down south and was a road warrior in Kentucky. And there's military, we got Fort Knox, and then you got Fort Campbell where the Airborne Division is. And I was actually on the road east of Glasgow, which is kind of center of the state, and heading east. And it was in the summertime. And this road is really hilly. I don't want to take up too much time, but as we came over the horizon, I saw a big light up in the sky, and it had like a headlight going down. And I thought it was a helicopter looking for our largest cash crop, because you see that from time to time.
Sure.
And so I didn't think much of it. And then we went down the valley, saw the light, went up another hill where it came out of sight. And by the time we went down the next dip and up the next hill, if it was in my, if straight ahead is 0 degrees, this thing was 30 degrees to my left originally. And when we went up and over the next hill, and it was stationary, and we went up and over the next hill, it was 35, 40 degrees to my right field of vision. The road was straight.
Wow.
On the other side of the road, but still stationary there. And we were like, and I looked at my passenger. I was like, that was weird. We're like, how'd it get over there that fast, and how's it not moving? And then sure enough, like right after we said that, it took off, and it was just
Somebody needs to hit mute. Okay, burn your bridges. I got it. I got it. Well, listen, Bob, we got 8 people on the screen, buddy, so I'm going to jump over to Lisa Lady next, but I will send you a message later, and we will continue this conversation. Thank you very much for sharing that, my friend. All right, we'll see you, buddy. All right, Lisa Lady, are you there? Lisa Lady, you are up next. Are you there? Lisa Lady, I'm not hearing you, my friend. Let's see. Murray was next if Lisa Lady needs to get her microphone figured out.
Yeah.
Murray, are you there, buddy?
I'm here.
How are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm calling from Canada.
Canada. Sweet. Awesome.
I'd call up and say how much I appreciate. Sorry about the beeping in the background. That's my cat setting off the alert to let her in.
Okay. That's pretty awesome. I didn't know that they made those.
Well, it's a camera that I got set up, motion detector. As soon as it goes off, I know she's at the door.
Okay. Well, very cool. Well, Murray, what did you want to tell us tonight?
Well, again, I wanted to thank you and a lot of the other guys like Methods and X Report, a lot of people that have been bringing a lot of this information to the forefront where most other outlets don't give us that information, the insights, and of course, some of the digs. Really appreciate all of that. I know from my perspective as a Canadian, we're facing our election on Monday. I know my personal opinions is that Canada has no idea what's going on. We are depending on America to save itself so that we can look forward to what can be and what we can work toward. And probably in our next election, we'll have to make some real critical choices. I don't see how, especially in light of the fact that someone like Barack Obama has now endorsed our leader, who, of course, quite frankly, is embroiled in his own scandals.
And he hasn't even endorsed anyone running for president in America, but he's endorsing someone in Canada. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, I've got a couple of conspiracy theories about that. I think maybe if Barack needs somewhere to run and hide from the law, maybe he can get that in Canada with his friends.
Yeah, more than likely.
The other issues that I see, again, facing Canada is that there doesn't seem to be any real concerted effort on the part of our government and our law agencies to rout out the deep state.
Yes.
So we're just as captive as you guys have been. Mm-hmm. But again, God bless the United States. God bless Donald Trump. I lived in Arizona from 1981 off and on until 1986. I actually finished high school in the United States. In my time there, I made a lot of friends. I had educated a lot of Americans about who Canadians really are. And at a certain point in high school, I actually found myself pledging allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, because I came to understand exactly what America really represents, what it's really trying to achieve, and where it really should be headed. And I haven't seen that in a long time. Again, I really think that what you guys, what Trump, what the Patriots, what Q has been doing is just unbelievable and is probably going to save the world. That's not a joke.
I absolutely agree, Murray. Well, listen, thank you very much for calling in. We've got so many people that are standing by. I do appreciate the call, sir. We are going to be doing this in the future, so please do call back. All right, Murray, we'll see you, buddy. Lisa,
thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Lisa Lady, have you gotten your microphone figured out yet? You are next, Lisa Lady. Okay, so if Lisa Lady is not ready yet, then I believe that Brillanon was the next one. Brillanon, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I certainly can, ma'am. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you very much for calling in to my first call-in show. What did you want to talk about tonight?
Oh, several things. First of all, Laura Loomer is awesome. Cool. And, you know, people that are hung up on the Zionism thing, remember that the First Amendment is freedom of religion, and religion isn't really the point. The point is the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
Yes.
And that belongs to everyone, no matter what their religious affiliation, except, in my opinion, if part of your religious affiliation calls for you to kill other people because of their religious affiliation.
I would agree with you there. I would agree with you.
Violate the First Amendment, right there. So as long as the affiliation does not require you to kill someone for their religious affiliation, then it is American, So another thing I wanted to say was I really want to commend you for your support and championing the people who are targeted by DCFS and
Thank
TPS.
you. I appreciate that.
Because that's what got me interested in the Constitution initially, because I had an ex who convinced my eldest son to tell lies. Long story, but basically I found out that the Constitution doesn't work in the child protection industry.
Very
the Constitution is not in effect. I had to fight tooth and nail because an ex told had my son tell a lie.
Yeah.
My son recanted within a month, but that didn't stop them.
Yeah, the damage is done.
The damage is done, and then they have you jump through hoops. There's false reports, false tests. Everything is it's fabricated because they get an $80,000 subsidy every time they adopt out a child. They're motivated by money, and unless you have the wherewithal to fight them, you are victimized, and it's absolutely a industry.
Yeah, you're very right. Very, very right.
And
well, Brilliant, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but we've got so many people here. Was there anything that you wanted to leave us with?
I really appreciate you. I appreciate the risks you take. I appreciate the fact that you go in the face of, what might not even be popular within our movement,
right?
And take those topics on. And you're doing a really, really good job. And I'm just really, you're my go-to. So.
Well, that means a lot to me. Thank you so much for calling in, and we'll talk to you next time.
Have a great one.
You do the same. Lisa lady, are you there?
Hello.
Hi. Okay, awesome. We got your mic working. How are you tonight?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Excellent. Excellent. What did you want to talk about tonight, Lisa?
I think that you had a really great show with Laura Loomer.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
She is an amazing person. Yes, I am.
Yeah, I think that I think that it was a great interview. It was a lot of fun. Laura Loomer, I have a lot of respect for her because she just does not care. I mean, she is the embodiment of what I believe is American ideals. Just going out there and saying what she wants to say. And, despite the fact that they have continued to try to stifle her and quiet her, she has endured throughout all of it. So I think it's a great thing.
I remember when she handcuffed herself to Twitter building. And then she even went into a meeting and they tried to auction off her cell phone.
Yep.
That was something. But I live in Florida, and I think that if she can get if she could get herself with Trump or somebody with Trump, she will make it. She will get that seat.
I agree. Well, listen, Lisa, thank you very much for calling in. And we will talk to you next time, okay?
Okay, you have a great day.
You do the same. Thank you very much. All right. I believe Alexandria Occasional Cortex was next. Alexandria, are you there?
Yeah.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
So great to finally meet you over the phone anyway. I've always hoping you'd have a call-in show.
Yeah. But, I've been thinking about doing this for a while, and I was like, tonight is going to be perfect because I don't have a second guest. So, yeah, let's just go for it.
It's perfect that it was the day you had Laura Loomer on too. A big fan of all the crap disturbing she's done in politics. I'm really glad of what you've been doing. And I've mentioned a couple times. A lot of us seem to be all about the children and protecting those that can't help themselves the most.
Yes.
And I think the biggest problem that nobody ever really talks about is Joe Biden's Violence Against Women Act. Hundreds of thousands of citizens immediately get their Second Amendment rights away based on no evidence, no hearing, no evidentiary standards. It's just like a parking ticket kind of thing. But it's how they've gotten the fathers, the protectors of a lot of these kids away, and it's very much along the same lines as the CPS and whatnot. How they're getting the kids out. I like yourself. I ran for politics up in Washington State for House of Representatives, based on the same kind of issues, but didn't find any love in politics trying to protect kids.
No, it's not popular. I mean, it's essentially, it's an industry built up around that stuff, whether it's CPS or whether it's the trafficking. I mean, unfortunately, the people that are victimizing children and making money off of it, they have no desire to end that system. It's really disgusting.
Really disgusting, but at least, people are starting to hear about the CPS, Arizona and whatnot, and states like that. But so I don't know. I think it's something that's really subversive and is affecting way more kids, or way more kids are getting stolen from their parents.
Yeah.
Through this, through just regular family court.
Yeah.
And people don't really realize how bad it is. But anyway, I do appreciate everything that you're doing for America, and thanks for keep fighting the good fight, man.
Well, thanks, AOC. I appreciate
it. I'll be here
my
every
friend.
show.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate the dedication. All right, well, listen, make sure you call in on the next call-in show, and I hope you have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
All
Bye
right,
for now.
Yep, peace. All right, you guys, so next we have Linda Peterson, then we have Andrew, then we have Tony, then we have TechnoX. Linda, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Linda. How are you tonight?
Good. I watched a video just before before you came on live, and I sent you a direct message through Twitter.
Okay.
A Field McConnell said that Obama was actually executed September 29th by firing squad for treason.
He actually he recanted that claim.
He did.
Yeah, I had a lot of people send me that video, and and he did. He actually went. I don't know if it was a live stream or if it was a produced video, but he did come out the other day and say that he took that back. So I understand that it excited a lot of people, shall we say? A lot of people were.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, they were excited to hear that, but unfortunately, from what I understand, and I think that it was after that he actually came out and asked people to vote for what's his name, Trudeau in Canada.
Oh, yuck.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was thinking that it almost makes sense that if some of these high-profile people were to be executed, that it really would be kind of done in secret instead of on display, just to prevent some of the violence that could take place.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think you're right. I think that if anything is public, it's going to be trials for something other than like treason or execution. I think that it's going to be highly unlikely if they were to televise something like that, despite the fact that many people would be interested in seeing that. I think that President Trump understands that, we have to punish the people who have been trying to destroy our country, but we cannot destroy our country in the process of bringing those people to justice. So if they were to publicize something like that, put it on television for people to see, I think that it could potentially do a lot more harm than good, because you would have people on the left who would be absolutely outraged. That would probably give them something to, rise up and go to the streets for. And then it might kind of, maybe galvanize people who would enjoy seeing something like that too much. It might kind of give people the idea that it's okay to go out into the streets and maybe to take justice into their own hands. I think that with the crimes that we know that have been committed, we've got a lot of people who are thinking about something like that only because they're so disgusted by the crimes that we know of that have taken place against children. And it's something I think a lot of people have considered, just because we've been in this position for such a long time where we see, we see nothing happening, basically. We sit back every single day. We hear about the reporting of, high-profile people just flagrantly breaking the law. We have that State Department investigation end with Hillary Clinton not getting any type of punishment. And so people are just, hungry for justice. I think we need it, but I don't think we're going to see it on TV, unfortunately.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably
well, Linda,
not.
Did you have anything else that you want to tell us before we move on to the next caller?
Just real quick, God's Guy and Gina Girl. Gina, I miss you. I want to talk to you.
I think Gina and Guy are in the audience. At least I saw them chatting a little while ago. But yes, we all miss God's Guy and Gina Girl.
So thank you for having me on. I love it. Thank you.
Linda, it's my pleasure. Thank you for being a loyal loyal listener. And we'll talk to you next time, okay?
Okay.
All right. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Andrew, you are up next. Andrew, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, what's up,
going,
dude?
man?
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good to see you.
You too.
Awesome.
So I was just calling in to say thanks for everything that you do, obviously.
Yeah, well, thank you, man.
And nextly, we've heard a lot, obviously from Q, about needing to have voter ID. When do you think the big push for that is going to be coming? Because we're running out of the 2019 pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to have to be before, early 2020. It can't go too much later because they're going to have a uniform law on the books so that everybody has time to get their voter ID. I did see today Judicial Watch announced that 1.59 million ineligible voters in the state of California are being removed from the voter rolls. That was, kind of definitely a step in the right direction, but we've got to get that voter ID law on the books. I think that it's going to have to be early 2020 because, in my estimation, early 2020 is when we're going to see people in the government, hopefully, that are going to be arrested. Now, obviously, this is just me making a prediction. So if something doesn't happen, please, guys, don't hold my feet to the fire. But I think that that's what we're going to need because we can't have this deadlock in Congress and get the voter ID law passed through.
There's some.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry, the audio was breaking up really bad there for a second.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just saying we got to get rid of this deadlock in Congress. So that means, in my estimation, that we've got to see some high-profile people in Congress that are going to get arrested, and then their positions will need to be filled with new, senators and congressmen. So I think we need that.
And that has to happen before the recess.
Yes.
Before they go into recess.
Or during the recess,
Or during the recess.
Yeah.
Correct.
So honestly, I'm looking at that recess, that Christmas recess, and I'm crossing my fingers at that time. I'm really hoping that that's going to be the spot that does it.
Right on, brother.
All right, man.
Well, wish you the best, man.
All right, Andrew. Good to see you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
All right.
All right, sounds good, man. Later.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Tony, you are up next. Tony, are you there? Tony, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Tony. How are you?
Very good. Very good.
Excellent.
Oh, I'm telling you. Oh, my goodness.
What's going on tonight, Tony?
Laura is such an inspiration. She is living what I call living her life in the dash.
Explain that.
I was born in 1966.
Okay.
I don't know what the ending date is going to be on my headstone.
There you go.
But I only have so long to leave an imprint and leave a legacy behind. She was called to her purpose at such an early age.
Absolutely.
And oh my gosh, I'm just telling you, I'm getting chills thinking about her and what she has said. But Red Pill, you are the same.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are doing whatever that you can to help educate people. And I don't know exactly what I'd do without you. Honestly, I watch you so often. I put that in the chat, before it started and everything, and you replied to me, but I want you to know how much you mean to me.
Oh, thank you so much, Tony.
If you mean that much to me, think about how many other people that you have touched. I want to let you know that the way that I grew up, I remember from a very, very, even before starting school, my family, every time they'd get together for holidays, they would wind up in these big arguments about politics.
Yeah.
So from such an early age, I was like, well, who knows the truth? Where's the truth?
Yeah.
And I just grew up thinking that I've been lied to and I don't know how to know the truth.
Discernment is a tough thing.
It is. Yeah. It is. But I like how you do your journalism. I love how you always have what do I say? The fact checks or the check boxes. I always have check boxes in my head. And you always back up what you say. And that means so much to me. And I'm sure your listeners or anybody else that listens to this later will hear the same thing. So really appreciate that. But Laura, let's just say, because I was watching the chat too. And some people may really relate to her and some people may really not. To me, I would just say, you know what, to everybody, you know what, listen. She's living her life in what she truly believes in, and she's doing something about it.
Absolutely.
Doing, man, not trying. I'm like, she believes what she that commands a lot of respect, whether you believe in what she's doing or not. At least, who else is doing that? Really?
No, I feel the exact same way, and like I said earlier, people either love her or they hate her and they have, their own reasons for doing that. But I respect her for getting out there and actually doing it,
Exactly.
And I so appreciate what you said, about my channel. I mean, that means a lot because I've done a lot of different things in my life and, I've kind of, I've mastered one thing and then I've moved on to another thing. And this is quite honestly the first time in my life that I've ever felt that I was doing something with a purpose, that I was out there doing exactly what I was meant to do. So to know that I am touching people in this way and that people appreciate what I do, it means absolutely just everything to me. Listen, Tony, we've got to move on to the next caller. What did you want to leave us with tonight?
Well, I just say, for one thing, I think your shirt looks great. You look amazing tonight.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, I do have your email address. I do want to send you some information.
Please.
Laura and you both are invited by the end of this month to come to an uncensored platform.
Okay.
Where you do not have to worry about be demonetizing. So
Tony, I know what you're talking about, and we need to talk very soon because we were waiting for you guys to get it to a certain point. Yes, I know what you're talking about, Tony. Definitely send me that email, and I will pass it on to Laura and let her know that this is something she needs to get involved with too.
I'm going to start on that, and I'm going to have you both on as guests, and I'm going to promote you because everybody knows who I am. But that is the best place for both of you. You will not be demonetized.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Awesome,
Tony.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Talking to you.
Thank you for calling. Bye-bye. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Now, coming up next is Techno Axe, and then Daniel. Techno Axe, are you there, bud?
I am here. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. How are you? Good to see you.
Doing awesome.
Also,
yes.
another longtime listener, TechnoX, pretty much comments on every video, so I want to thank you for your dedication.
That's pretty good. Yes, yes. I was listening to the other person talk about Laura Loomer, and it reminds me of the time. When did you go to high school, by the way?
In the 90s.
Yeah. That was about the time when all the teachers were turning around and saying, all the founding fathers and all the explorers before 1500 were pieces of garbage, right?
Yep. No, that was definitely it. Things kind of started flipping at that point.
They were like, did you know that they all had a bunch of slaves and a bunch of scumbags and everything like that? Yeah. No. So, I guess the point is that everybody has a past, and it's important what you leave behind. That defines you. Everybody has like challenges and stuff like that. Absolutely.
Yeah, completely. Nothing is as black and white as they try to portray it nowadays. You know what surprised me the most when I was in high school was learning, learning who was essentially the South in the Civil War, the Democrats. It was basically the Democrats versus the Northern Republicans. And then we had the fact that Russia was our ally in World War II, because at that time, the Berlin Wall had just fallen. Russia had been our sworn enemy for so many years, and it was to learn that we used to be allies with Russia. Uncle Joe, stood up on that stage with FDR, and we were buddies. It was pretty incredible. So that really clued me in early on that history is obviously written by the victors. And just because you're reading something that says this is how it went, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's how it was. It's a lot deeper shades of gray.
And especially now, it's confusing to know what exactly was, especially with the Syrian conflict.
Yes.
It's very difficult to know what actually happened. It was very, before Trump was elected, it is very hard not to be on the side of Syria.
Yep.
And because they're fighting basically a bunch of terrorists and stuff like that.
Right.
But I'm with Tulsi Gabbard and everything like that. She actually went out to visit Assad, right?
Yep.
And it's I hate to say it, but a lot of stuff is she's back in the spotlight now, obviously, because Hillary's she's a Russian agent and stuff like that. But it's almost if you see some of the pictures that's gone out about her, she's making the freaking Illuminati sign and stuff like that. And you're sitting here going was the entire thing a kabuki theater? What's going on?
Could be.
Is it all just an act? Yeah,
I'm gonna have to look that up.
A couple people tweeted it. I've got this QAnon list of different people on my Twitter and everything like that, trying to it's kind of evolved into something else.
Okay.
But a couple people posted that picture. I was like, no way, that is not happening. So I'm just it's like Q says, in a lot of their posts, what you're seeing is a movie, basically. It's all
it makes it difficult to just discern what is real and what is fiction. And then there's the idea, somebody brought this up the other day, that we're actually part of a simulation. Is this an experiment on God's workbench? I've got a show coming up in the beginning of November, the first week of November, and it's gonna blow people's minds. I'm not even gonna say anything other than that, just to make sure that you guys are watching for my live streams that are coming up, because I don't know. I think that's the only thing that I do know, is that I am not certain about what the notion of reality is. It's changing for me on a daily basis. I know, I think we are energetic beings with physical bodies. I believe in God, and the rest of it, everybody can fill in. But things are changing. Things are, moving and they're continuing on. And it's quite obvious that a lot of this stuff that we're experiencing is scripted. It's almost like we're living in a movie. And sometimes I wonder just how deep that goes. Incredible. Texas, hold on just one. Texas Q Patriot, are you going to jump back in there? Because I saw that you popped in twice and then you jumped off. Well, listen, TechnoX, I want to thank you for calling in, buddy. We'll talk to you next time. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ben.
All right. Peace, buddy. All right. Daniel's iPhone, you are next. How are you, buddy?
I am doing great. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Dan. Yeah, I unmuted you, buddy.
This is the first time I've used this app. I have a few things to say, but the first one is about what the gentleman before us was talking about with school.
Yes.
My children started school in the late 90s, and they came out with this thing called the Kelso wheel. Now, the Kelso wheel basically gave the bullies all the right. So if someone wanted to grab your ball, you don't argue with them. You just give it to them and walk away and do something else. And this has been going on for about 20 years now. And now you see these kids on the streets without consequences. And that's where this is.
Right.
That's where it started. Now, that's off the subject of why I called. My daughter, Haley Adams, she was one of the groups that stormed Congress yesterday.
Going into Nadler's office? I saw that.
Absolutely. Not Nadler's office. It was Adam Schiff's and Adam Schiff's office.
Good for her.
Right. The main one was Sheila Jackson's chief of staff came out and called all of us conservatives Nazis and included President Trump. He was a Nazi because he supported, us, as Nazis. And that was in the halls of Congress. And these people are supposed to be working for us. And instead they're condemning us. And we do not have a voice anymore. It's only 400. There's only 400 of them in there. We are millions.
Yeah.
And it is time for us to step up and tell everybody, the 400 do not control America. We do. It is our America.
That's absolutely right.
I really enjoy your show. I've just started to watch your show over the past couple months. Thankfully you started to, you opened up this program for us to talk to you, but there are plenty of us out here trying to make a difference. We are being shut down by Twitter. I live in Portland, Oregon. We are exposing the corruption that's going on, where Antifa is running the streets. Portland is ran by Mayor Ted Wheeler, who is Antifa, who is the mayor and the police commissioner. That's why the police stand down. He is their boss. And it is time that the American people stand up and take back our country.
Absolutely. You've got to be involved, and you've got to be able to get out there with your voice. Well, Daniel, I want to thank you very much for calling in, my friend. I'm glad that you started watching the program, and I hope that you call in on the next call-in show.
All right, thank you very much. Have a great night.
All right, brother. Peace. All right, up next is Texas Q Patriot. Texas Q Patriot, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. How are you tonight?
Awesome. I'm doing fabulous. I can't believe I'm talking to you. That is the coolest thing ever. I just want to thank you for the shows that you do and the way you present everything. It's just really, I look forward to it. So
awesome. Well, I really do appreciate you saying that. I put a lot of work into this stuff, and when I'm making the shows, I try to think, what would I want to watch if I was, if I was on the other end, if it's something that I watch, like my good buddy Space Shot 76. I don't know if you're still here, Space Shot, but thank you for popping in when you did. I mean, he was a big, oh God, what is the word? I can't.
Inspiration.
Influence. Yes, he was an inspiration, an influence on me. So I mean, he made it possible for me to come out here and do this. And it's really important, because the mainstream media, the press, they're not doing journalism. What they're doing is doing opinion stuff. So they put themselves out there like CNN. They put themselves out there as if they're a genuine news station, but they're developing propaganda. They are another arm of the DNC, and they just want to do everything they can to destroy President Trump. And with the suppression of President Trump, the suppression of conservatives, I think it's so important for us to be able to come together and to go out into the streets, into these public squares that we have, and give the information in a truthful manner. So I don't want to steer anybody wrong. Like I said, I don't have necessarily the same, views and opinions as everybody in my audience, but I'll be honest about mine, and I'll present information, and I want people to be able to make up their own minds. So, Texas Q Patriot, thank you so much for watching. How long have you been watching the show?
Oh my gosh, probably about 9 months hardcore watching it.
Right on.
Yeah. And Laura Loomer is, so I don't know. I want to say that when people start to get red pilled, they seem to find Alex Jones first, because that's what I did.
Yep.
I stumbled across Alex Jones, and it all started after the Vegas shooting.
Yep.
That's when I started to question everything and what is going on here. You just know something is not right. And when I didn't know about Laura Loomer before the Vegas shooting, but when she got in that press conference, and she was able to call out the sheriff in Las Vegas on his timeline, because I think that's when I knew everything is scripted. The questions they feed them, and I bet all the other journalists were like, "Who let this chick in here?" Because she just called him out, and he had no response. He was just
absolutely
blindsided.
I was so bummed out that we didn't have enough time to talk about that. What I'm going to do is ask Laura to come back so that we can do a special segment on what happened in Vegas. Because it's quite obvious. You're right. Everybody was looking at her like, how did she get in here?
How did she get in here? Yeah.
Why is she off the script?
Mm-hmm,
You want to say hi to Muffin?
Hi, Muffin.
As somebody called her fat last night, and I just wanted everybody to know that Muffin is not fat. She's just got a regular dog-sized body with dwarf legs. Okay, so she's got a condition.
Yeah.
All right, Texas Q Patriot, what did you want to leave us with?
Just don't stop. Just keep on. We do have it all. We have it all. And, I know Akun, they're working stuff out, and it's taking longer than expected, but we know what's up. We know what's going on, and just keep putting out your content, okay?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I do appreciate it, and I hope that you have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Yep, we'll see you. Bye-bye. And IAB32, are you there, my friend?
Hey, Red Pill, how's it going?
Good. How about yourself?
Not bad, not bad.
Excellent.
So I have a quick backstory.
Yeah.
Let's see. When I first started listening to you, I sent you a DM on Twitter because your laugh is so contagious. And every single time you started laughing, I would just bust up laughing because your laugh is just awesome.
Thanks,
and
dude.
I wrote you a DM saying that, hey, because I didn't know if I'd ever talk to you or laugh with you. And I was like, when I see you in heaven, we're going to laugh together.
Hey, there we go. Awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that people get too serious about this stuff. I get people sending me emails, like you, that hey, I love it when you laugh, and then I get other people who are like, what is wrong with you? I want hardcore news and you should not be having fun doing this. I'm like, geez, oh, Pete's, you don't have to watch.
Exactly.
I want to have some fun, these are some serious subjects, and if we don't allow ourselves to get a little bit of levity, we're going to go crazy.
Absolutely. So you and Methods put a show on a while back with Dr. B about spooky instances.
That's right.
Do you know when you're going to put that on? Because I want to call in for that. I have a story.
We are going to be doing one. at the end of November. Actually, you know what? We should probably do it for Halloween. What am I talking about? I'll talk to Methods and Dr. B. I know that Dr. B will definitely be back. Methods is taking a break from doing any shows. But I'm going to talk to him about it because I definitely want him to come back on. But yeah, when we do it, I will announce it on Twitter, and it'll definitely be here. It'll be probably a Friday night.
Sweet.
All right, sweet. IAB 32. What do you want to leave us with, brother?
No, just keep up the good work. I love your show, and keep doing what you're doing. Don't let the haters hate.
All right, man. I appreciate it, dude. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
All right, peace. All right, and coming up next is Melissa. Melissa, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Excellent.
I'm Melissa Callie calling you from the very, very blue California.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you at least in Northern California?
Well, I'm in Orange County, so even though we were red, I was one of those people that actually stayed up till midnight and watched the midterms, and I got all my friends to actually vote for these last midterms, and we had a huge turnout, and then we watched it turn blue in front of our eyes. It was crazy, and votes came in like the next day, and they counted them. I mean, the whole harvesting where people were knocking on doors and collecting votes after the polls were closed. I mean, this whole thing has been so crazy and frustrating. And I really would like to see not only the voter ID, but here in California, they fingerprint you now. So if they're going to fingerprint you when you get your license, then good. When you go into the poll, you show your ID, you get fingerprinted, and then there's going to be no question who you are, and we'll be done with all these dead people who are voting. It's been nuts.
Did you hear what I said earlier about Judicial Watch reporting that they've gotten 1.59 million ineligible voters taken off the rolls? I don't know if those are people who are, like resident aliens or they're illegals or if they're dead
most
people.
Most of them are dead.
All of them
are dead. 150. Oh, yeah. They're dead. They've been dead.
So who has been voting for these people? I mean, is this just like Democrats that like they've got like probably a bunch of people that vote for them?
They're filling out ballots. Just like in Broward County, which ironically my dad lives in right in Port St. Lucie, and he's a crazy Democrat.
Yep.
And we watched when Matt Gaetz was filming them. Remember they actually had rider trucks full of ballots.
Yeah.
And they were bringing out the ballots that were the good ballots and bringing in the bad ballots.
Nothing ever happened with that. Nothing
happened.
Talk about frustrating.
Yes. So it's funny because my dad's neighbor and we ended up becoming great friends, and she's just like us. And, and she's like, she went down and marched down there and helped, picket with stuff because it's hard. Like you want to do something, but I give Laura Loomer a lot of credit because I have a son like you have a daughter, and I don't want to go to jail for a day just because they decide they're going to do arrests for peaceful protests or have an Antifa person throw a milkshake or attack me like poor Andy and Portland, Oregon there. God bless your last caller from Portland.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. All right, well, Melissa, we've got to get to the last caller, and then I've got to do the super chats.
Have a great night.
All right,
God bless.
You too. God bless. We'll talk to you soon. All right, now, last caller of the night is Yensid. Yensid, how are you, my friend?
Hey, not bad. I can't change my name. This is Steve.
Yeah, I know who you are, Steve. I wasn't going to dox you, though. So.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Hey, just wanted to, I've been talking to our friend Juan about this a little bit.
Yeah.
One thing we got, if some of this big change is going to happen, right, then we might start seeing new technologies like, some of the Tesla stuff come out, right?
Good, yeah.
Okay, so what I think people should kind of keep in the back of their heads a little bit is, this Green New Deal is only far-fetched if you don't have something that can actually work. So
yeah, you're right. You're right.
So people need to take a really hard look at what something like free electricity could do, and not like, mock them for what they're trying to do with getting rid of fossil fuels and zero carbon output, but also keep an open mind about how it could be flipped around on people a little bit, I think is what I'm trying to point out.
So do you think that they're going to try to get this Green New Deal legitimately passed by actually bringing out some 0-point technology, some 0-point energy technology?
No, I think they truly do want to just get rid of all fossil fuels, and knowing that they, because they won't know. None of us will know whether or not that stuff's real or it's going to be available until, POTUS wins in the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I've been really hoping that President Trump was going to come out with something like that. We had a couple of big revelations right in a row, right around that one cancer cure came out. And I was thinking is it happening? Is President Trump going to, give us, free energy devices? Like, how amazing would that be?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I'm not committing anymore. Many things have gone crazy, but I mean, I'm learning all kinds of stuff. This whole Great Awakening thing has been so much fun.
Yeah, and this is great. This is absolutely great. I love it. Well, listen, Steve, we got to let you go, buddy, because we're at the top of the hour.
We're done.
Yep.
We're done. All right.
I got to do a couple of super chats. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, you guys. I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. We're going to do just the last couple of super chats. Arizona Girl USA says we need to get Laura to run against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. That would be great to get rid of Debbie. I absolutely agree with you there. Kelly Larson says, who was that Chicago guy that just called in? Thanks for all you do. I don't know who that was. I know that somebody had called in. They were having some mic issues, and so I muted that, and then they hung up. So whoever that was, next time, you guys, give us a call back, and we can get you on the air. DeMunker says, hashtag John Cullen as a guest. You guys, I would love to have John Cullen on. I have spoken to John Cullen on Twitter before, but it's been a long time. So I think that I'm going to reach out to John Cullen. If anybody else knows John Cullen and, can reach out to him and give him my email, redpill78@protonmail.com. Tell him to get a hold of me. We'll get him on the show. Let's see. Also, Jesse Causey says, 20 from the guys in Miami. Keep up the good work. Thank you for that, Jesse. Appreciate that, brother. Strife to Saul. Oh, no, it's Last Fritz. Striff to Saul. What is the call-in number? I semi-recently connected some pretty mind-blowing dots that I'm surprised no one else has mentioned. It's a Zoom call. If you didn't get that by the end of the show here, Striff, the link that I put in there is not going to be good for the next call-in show. So every time, you guys, that I do a call-in show, what I'm going to do when I'm done with my guest is I will put that link into the chat box, and then you guys can go ahead and call in. And I want to thank everybody for being so respectful of the time. I think that we all got to say, a couple of really key things before we moved on to the next caller, and nobody was upset about it. Also, Bert says, letting it go, but suggest a review of the rules. Bert, I don't know what you're referring to, my friend, but thank you for the super chat. Also, Striff says again, yikes, I hope I can do this on time. Is there a way to call from my cell phone? Do I have to install Zoom, sign up, and all that? Yes, you guys do need to install Zoom. If you don't have Zoom installed, get it installed before the next call-in show. There actually is a way to call in without having Zoom installed, but it does not sound very good, and your phone number will appear on the screen. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it. That's all I've got for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me for this another fun-filled Saturday evening. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.